Will Killing Floor 3 be worth buying? I think yes and no. I'm going to be using the information we have as of right now, November 3rd, 2024, for my discussion video. I think, first of all, it is not going to feel like other Killing Floor games, but that doesn't mean it is going to be a bad game. I think it's going to be a lot more complex based off of what we've seen so far. Like in the first two games, it was pretty straightforward. You get your guns, you kill Zeds, you survive as long as possible. Pretty simple. But Killing Floor 3 is going to be introducing a lot of new things. It's going to be introducing zip lines, and you're going to be able to like climb buildings like with ladders, and there's going to be a bit more parkour in the game. So it's not going to feel like the older Killing Floor games based off of like just the gameplay. And also it is going to be a hero shooter. Like 90% of the fan base from what I'm seeing has been commenting on like everything. Like Tripwire, please don't make this a hero shooter. And I don't want it to be a hero shooter either. And basically, what I mean by hero shooter is each character is going to be attached to a specific perk and have a specific ability. Like, let's say, for example, I think Mr. Foster is support. So basically, if you want to play as support, you have to be Mr. Foster. You can't mix and match characters like you could on the previous games. And I've seen a lot of speculation that Tripwire will probably try to cash in on this by just tossing in a crap ton of operators. I mean, since that's what a lot of companies have been trying to do, just pump out hero shooters ever since the success of Fortnite, COD Warzone, Overwatch 2, Concord, we all know how that mess went. Uh, Rocket Arena or whatever that game by EA was, a lot of companies have been trying to pump out hero shooters, and it appears that Tripwire is unfortunately jumping on that train. So that's one thing I'm really skeptical about is it's going to be a hero shooter. It is possible that Tripwire might listen to the fans and change this because they've already changed two things that were initially going to be in Killing Floor 3. Initially, like, guns were going to be perk locked. Basically, initially, it was going to be like if you wanted to be medic, you could only use medic weapons. You couldn't buy a support weapon, a firebug weapon, a demolitions weapon, etc. You were stuck with medic. Now, they did listen to the players on that one, people saying, please don't do this, and they would later announce, okay, we backed off on that, we're not doing that. And also, initially, Synthetic was not going to be returning for the soundtrack, from what I understood. But it was just a few days ago. Again, I'm recording this on November 3rd. They dropped a song by him for the Killing Floor 3 soundtrack. So I guess, again, they listened to the fans. People are like, please bring back Synthetic. And they were like, okay, we'll rehire him. So I am really hoping that Tripwire will listen to the fans and not make this a hero shooter, but that is one thing to keep in mind as of right now with the information that we have, is that this game will be a hero shooter. And since we were just discussing Synthetic, we may as well go ahead and discuss Demon Hunter. I made a previous short video on this specifically, but they said that they are, as of right now, not coming back to the Killing Floor 3 soundtrack, so that's a minus there. The only two confirmed musicians we have are Rocky Gray and Synthetic. By the way, if you haven't heard it yet, look up Search, Destroy, Repeat by Rocky Gray for the Killing Floor 3 soundtrack. If you haven't heard it already, you'll thank me later. But this is definitely an upgrade, since initially the only confirmed musician returning was Rocky Gray. We now know that Synthetic is back on the scene. Changing topics to gore. This game is just going all out on being a absolute splatterhouse. This will probably be one of the most gruesome games of all time, improving on what we had with Killing Floor 2. It's going to be a lot more deeper. There's going to be just a lot more just blood and gore and damage to the Zeds in general. you could like dismember the Zeds, but in previous games, but this is going to be a lot more in depth. Like, let's just say you shoot a Zed's arm, instead of it, him just taking a bullet, it's going to blow a chunk of his arm off. Okay, or you shoot him in the leg, it's going to blow a chunk of his leg off. And there also will be crawler Zeds, like the crawlers on COD Zombies. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, but that is going to be something added to the game. So definitely, I think you need to keep that in mind. And another thing to keep in mind, this game is kind of shying away from the Killing Floor 1 roots of feeling more like, I don't know, like a B horror movie, where it's just really grungy. If you understand what I'm saying, it's going for more of a sci-fi-ish horror feel, more of a sci-fi horror game, if that makes sense. But this game also looks like it's going to be very hectic from what I understand. Compared to the first two games, each wave is going to have a considerable more, it's going to have more Zeds per wave from what we've seen, but it looks like they're going to be like, or at least the clots, I should be more specific. It looks like they're going to be like lesser of a threat, but they're going to be in larger quantities. And graphically, graphically, this game looks like it's going to be absolutely amazing. Amazing to the point that my poor little old laptop probably won't even be able to handle it. But that is a plus. That is a plus there. And there is going to be apparently a deeper progression into like the perk system. I don't remember exactly what they said, but it's going to be a bit more complicated, which I prefer games that are simple but not easy, like COD Zombies, the first two Killing Floors, The Last Faith, games like that, games that are really simple, really straightforward, but are not easy. So, one of my biggest complaints, or maybe not even a complaint, but just something I think you should be aware of when considering buying Killing Floor 3, I think it's going to be a lot more complex, as I said earlier. And that's just something that I think is really going to take away from the feel of Killing Floor. And another thing that I'm not sure if this is going to take away from the feel that much, but they are adding a weapons modification system to where you can kind of customize your weapons. You can put sights on them, swap out various attachments. Although I have a bad feeling this is probably going to be microtransaction infested. That's just a bad feeling. Hopefully, I'm completely wrong on that one. I don't think they would come out and say, hey, our game's going to have a crap ton of microtransactions. No, companies don't do that. But, hopefully they won't, microtransaction infest it. So, do I think you should buy Killing Floor 3? Based off the information we have, if you're looking for a game that feels like the first two games, no, I don't think you should buy it based off of the information that we have. But if you don't mind a game that's going to feel different, considerably different from the first two games, then I think it would be something to pick up. For example, looking at like Black Ops Cold War versus Black Ops 1 Zombies. While both games are enjoyable in their own ways, they're just way separate games, if that makes sense. And I think that's going to be something very similar we're going to see with Killing Floor 3 versus the first two games. It's like they both look like they're going to be, well, obviously the first two are very fun, but the third one looks like it's going to be very fun as well. It's just going to have a much different feel to it, and this is something that I don't remember who it was, but one of the devs said that they were trying to appeal to a wider, more modern audience. I think that was what he said, something about attracting newer players. I don't remember his exact wording. So, again, should you buy it? If you don't mind a game that is going to feel different from the first two games, I think, yeah, you probably should buy it because it does look fun. But if you want something that feels more like the first two games, either pass on it, maybe get a Gamefly rental, assuming it has a physical release, or wait for a heavy discount. But I want to hear y'all's thoughts down in the comments. Did I say something you disagree with? Do you think it's going to be a flop? Do you think it's going to be a great game? Let me know down in the comments. And for anyone new here, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other content if that sounds interesting. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much. Thanks again for watching. Peace.